Good morning, folks. Again, this is Raymond X the Prophet coming to you live from my apartment living room again. And today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, 7:08 a.m. This is September 3rd, 2020 on a Thursday morning at 7:08 a.m. And this is the word for today, part 4 for May 8, 2020. Once again, the word for today, part 4, May 8, 2020. Let's go ahead and get started with the first journal entry. On May 7th at 2020 at 8 a.m. sharp, 8 p.m. sharp, 8 p.m. at 2000 hours or 8 p.m. His love and mercies are forever. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. His love and mercies are forever. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Let's go ahead and get started in the first Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 34. Oh, give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Psalm 100, verse 5. For Yahweh is good, his loving kindness endures forever, his faithfulness to all generations. Psalm 107, verse 1. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Psalm 118, verse 1. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Psalm 136, verses 1 through 26. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods, for his loving kindness endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who by understanding made the heavens, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who spread out the earth above the waters, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who made the great lights, for his loving kindness endures forever. The sun to rule by day, for his loving kindness endures forever. The moon and the stars to rule by night, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who struck down the Egyptian firstborn, for his loving kindness endures forever, and brought out Israel from among them, for his loving kindness endures forever. With a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who divided the Red Sea apart, for his loving kindness endures forever, and made Israel to pass through the middle of it, for his loving kindness endures forever, but overthrew Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who struck great kings, for his loving kindness endures forever, and killed mighty kings, for his loving kindness endures forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his loving kindness endures forever. Og, king of Bashan, for his loving kindness endures forever, and gave their land as an inheritance, for his loving kindness endures forever. Even a heritage to Israel his servant, for his loving kindness endures forever. Who remembered us in our low estate, for his loving kindness endures forever, and has delivered us from our adversaries, for his loving kindness endures forever. Who gives food to every creature, for his loving kindness endures forever. Oh, give thanks to the God of heaven, for his loving kindness endures forever. The book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. It's because of Yahweh's loving kindness that we are not consumed, because his mercies don't fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Exodus chapter 34, verse 6. Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh, a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness and truth. 1 Chronicles, chapter 16, verses 8, 33, and 41. Oh, give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, make what he has done known among the peoples. Then the trees of the forest will sing for joy before Yahweh, for he comes to judge the earth. And with them Heman and Jeduthun and the rest who were chosen, who were mentioned by name, to give thanks to Yahweh, because his loving kindness endures forever. 2 Chronicles chapter 5, verse 13. When the trumpeters and singers were as one to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking Yahweh, and when they lifted up their voice for the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised Yahweh, saying, For he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Then the house was filled with a cloud, even Yahweh's house. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 3. All the children of Israel looked on, and when the fire came down, and Yahweh's glory was on the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground on the pavement, worshipped and gave thanks to Yahweh, saying, For he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. 2 Chronicles chapter 20, verse 21. When he had taken counsel with the people, he appointed those who were to sing to Yahweh and give praise and holy array as they go out before the army and say, Give thanks to Yahweh, for his loving kindness endures forever. Ezra chapter 3, verse 11. They sang to one another and praising and giving thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever toward Israel. All the people shouted with a great shout when they praised Yahweh, because the foundation of Yahweh's house had been laid. Ezra chapter 9, verses 8 and 9, and 13 through 15. Now for a little moment grace has been shown from Yahweh our God to leave us a remnant, to escape and to give us a stake in his holy place, that our God may lighten our eyes, and revive us a little in our bondage. For we are bondservants, yet our God has not forsaken us in our bondage, but has extended loving kindness to us in the sight of kings of Persia, to revive us, to set up the house of God, and to repair its ruins, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. After all that has come on us for our evil deeds, and for our great guilt, since you, our God, has punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and have given us such a remnant, shall we again break your commandments and join ourselves with the peoples that do these abominations? When you be angry with us until you have consumed us, so that there would be no remnant, nor any to escape. Yahweh, the God of Israel, you are righteous, for we are left a remnant that escape as it is today. Behold, we are before you in our guiltiness, for no one can stand before you because of this. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 31. Nevertheless, in your manifold mercies you didn't make a full end of them, nor forsake them, for you are a gracious and merciful God. Psalm 25, verse 8. Good and upright is Yahweh. Therefore he will instruct sinners in the way. Psalm 30, verse 5. For his anger is but for a moment. His favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 36, verse 5. Your loving kindness, Yahweh, is in the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the skies. Psalm 52, verse 1. Why do you boast in mischief, mighty man? God's loving kindness endures continually. Okay, folks and family, the next journal entry I have for you, May 7, 2020 at 8:03 p.m. There is no fear in perfect love. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in perfect love. There is no fear in perfect love. Perfect love casts out fear. Let's start with 1 John chapter 4, verses 18 through 20, key verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has punishment. He who fears is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If a man says, I love God, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he who doesn't love his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? Job chapter 15, verse 21. A sound of terrors is in his ears, and prosperity, the destroyer, will come on him. Psalm 73, verse 19. How they are suddenly destroyed. They are completely swept away with terrors. Psalm 88, verses 15 and 16. I am afflicted and ready to die from my youth up. While I suffer your terrors, I am distracted. Your fierce wrath has gone over me. Your terrors have cut me off. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 34. But the Pharisees said, by the prince of the demons, he cast out demons. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 74 and 75. To grant to us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, should serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. Romans chapter 8, verse 15. For you did receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. 1 John chapter 4, verse 12. No one has seen God at any time. If we love one another, God remains in us, and his love has been perfected in us. Okay, folks and family, the next journal entry I have for you, May 7, 2020 at 8:07 p.m. Be strong and be brave. This is Jehovah speaking. Be strong and be brave, Jehovah. Let's go ahead and start with Daniel, the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 19. He said, greatly beloved man, don't be afraid. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong. When he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or scared of them. For Yahweh, your God himself, is who goes with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you. The book of Genesis chapter 28, verse 15. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you again into this land. For I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken of to you. Numbers chapter 13, verse 20. And what the land is, whether it is fertile or poor, whether there is wood therein or not, be courageous and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 29. Then I said to you, don't be terrified, don't be afraid of them. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 31. For Yahweh your God is a merciful God. He will not fail you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 18. You shall not be afraid of them. You shall remember well what your Yahweh, your God, did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 8. Therefore you shall keep the entire commandment which I command you today, that you may be strong and go in and possess the land that you go over to possess. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 1, 3, and 4. When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horses, chariots, and the people more numerous than you, you shall not be afraid of them. For Yahweh your God, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt, is with you. And shall tell them, Hear, Israel, you draw near today to battle against your enemies. Don't let your heart faint. Don't be afraid, nor tremble, nor be scared of them. For Yahweh your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 7, 8, and 23. Moses called to Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and courageous, for you shall go with this people into the land which Yahweh has sworn to their fathers to give to them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. Yahweh himself is who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. He commissioned Joshua the son of Nun and said, Be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them. I will be with you. Joshua chapter 1, verses 5 through 7, 9. No man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you, nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be very strong and be very courageous. Be careful to observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Don't turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go. Haven't I commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed, for Yahweh your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua chapter 10, verse 25. Joshua said to them, Don't be afraid, nor be dismayed. Be strong and courageous, for Yahweh will do this to all your enemies against whom you fight. The book of Judges chapter 6, verse 23. Yahweh said to him, Peace be to you. Don't be afraid. You shall not die. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verses 9 and 10. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, Go lie down. It shall be, if he calls you, that you shall say, Speak, Yahweh, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Yahweh came and stood and called as other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, Speak, for your servant hears. 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 13. I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 57. May Yahweh our God be with us, as he was with our fathers. Let him not leave us or forsake us. 1 Chronicles chapter 22, verse 13. Then you will prosper if you observe to do the statutes and the ordinances which Yahweh gave Moses concerning Israel, Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid and don't be dismayed. 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 20. David said to Solomon his son, Be strong and courageous, and do it. Don't be afraid, nor be dismayed. For Yahweh God, even my God, is with you. He will not fail you, nor forsake you, until all the work for the service of Yahweh's house is finished. Psalm 138, verse 3. In the day I called, you answered me. You encouraged me with strength of my soul. The book of Isaiah, chapter 35, verse 4. Tell those of a fearful heart, be strong. Don't be afraid. Behold, your God will come with a vengeance, God's retribution. He will come and save you. Isaiah, chapter 41, verses 10 and 14. Don't you be afraid, for I'm with you. Don't be dismayed, for I'm your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. Yes, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. Don't be afraid, you worm Jacob, and you men of Israel. I will help you, says Yahweh. Your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah chapter 43, verses 1 and 2. But now Yahweh, who created you, Jacob, and he who formed you, Israel, says, Don't be afraid, for I've redeemed you. I've called you by my name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, and flame will not scorch you. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 8. Don't be afraid because of them, for I am with you to rescue you, says Yahweh. Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 40. I will make an everlasting covenant with them, then I will not turn away from following them. To do them good, I will put my fear in their hearts, that they may not depart from me. Daniel chapter 9, verse 23. At the beginning of your petitions, the commandment went out, and I've come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore, consider the matter and understand the vision. Okay, folks and family, the Spotify worship song I have for you is by Bethel Music featuring Callie, and the name of the song is called Alabaster Heart, the live version. So Bethel Music featuring Callie, Alabaster Heart, the live version, and I'll post both these links in the description box below, both the Spotify link and the YouTube link you see listed here. Okay, the next journal entry I have for you, May 7th, 2020 at 8:09 p.m. He filled the censer with incense and fire and threw it to the earth. He filled the censer with incense and fire and threw it to the earth. Let's start with Revelation chapter 8, verses 3 through 5, key verses 3 and 5. Another angel came and stood over the altar having a golden censer. Much incense was given to him that he should add it to the prayers of all the saints on the golden altar, which was before the throne. The angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar, then threw it on the earth. Thunders, sounds, lightnings, and an earthquake followed. Genesis chapter 48, verses 15 and 16. He blessed Joseph and said, The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life, long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my father Abraham and Isaac, let them grow into a multitude upon the earth. Exodus chapter 3, verses 2 through 18. Yahweh's angel appeared to him in a flame of fire in the middle of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Moses said, I will go now and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When Yahweh saw that he came over to see, God called to him out of the middle of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. He said, Here I am. He said, Don't come close, take off your sandals, for the place you're standing on is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. I've come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, to bring them up out of that land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Pezerite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Now behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me. Moreover, I have seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? He said, Certainly I will be with you. This will be the token of you. This will be the token to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. Moses said to God, Behold, when I come to the children of Israel and tell them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What should I tell them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, You shall tell the children of Israel this, I am has sent me to you. God said moreover to Moses, You shall tell the children of Israel this, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and tell them, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. I have said, I will bring you out of the affliction of Egypt, to the land of Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Pezerite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey. They will listen to your voice. You shall come, you and the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you shall tell him, Yahweh, the God of Hebrews, has met with us. Now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh our God. Exodus chapter 19, verse 16. On the third day, when it was morning, there were thunders and lightnings, a thick cloud on the mountain, and the sound of an exceeding loud trumpet. And all the people who were in the camp trembled. Exodus chapter 30, verses 1 through 8. You shall make an altar to burn incense on. You shall make it of acacia wood. Its length shall be a cubit, and its width a cubit. It shall be square, and its height shall be 2 cubits. Its horns shall be of one piece with it. You shall overlay it with pure gold, its top, its sides, around it, and its horns, and you shall make a gold molding around it. You shall make 2 golden rings for it under its molding, on its 2 ribs. On its 2 sides you shall make them, and they shall be for places for poles with which to bear it. You shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. You shall put it before the veil that is by the ark of the covenant, before the mercy seat that is over the covenant, where I will meet with you. Aaron shall burn incense of sweet spices on it every morning. When he tends the lamps, he shall burn it. When Aaron lights the lamps at evening, he shall burn it, a perpetual incense before Yahweh throughout your generations. Leviticus chapter 16, verses 12 and 13. He shall take a censer full of coals of fire from off the altar before Yahweh, and 2 handfuls of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. He shall put the incense on the fire before Yahweh. Let the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is on the covenant, so that he will not die. Numbers chapter 4, verse 11. On the golden altar they shall spread a blue cloth, and cover it with a covering of sealskin, and shall put in its poles. Numbers chapter 7, verse 62. 1 golden ladle of 10 shekels full of incense. Numbers chapter 16, verses 46 and 47. Moses said to Aaron, Take your censer, put fire from the altar in it, lay incense on it, carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from Yahweh. The plague has begun. Aaron did as Moses said, and ran into the middle of the assembly. The plague had already begun among the people. He put on the incense and made atonement for the people. 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 50. The cups, the snuffers, the basins, the spoons, and the fire pans are pure gold, and the hinges, both for the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house of the temple of gold. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 11. He said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahweh. Behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but Yahweh was not in the earthquake. 2 Chronicles chapter 26, verses 16 through 20. But he was strong, his heart was lifted up, so that he did corruptly and trespassed against Yahweh his God, for he went to Yahweh's temple to burn incense on the altar of incense. Azariah the priest went in after him, and with him 80 priests of Yahweh, who were valiant men. They resisted Uzziah the king and said to him, It isn't for you, Uzziah, to burn incense to Yahweh, but for the priests, the sons of Aaron, who are consecrated to burn incense. Go out of the sanctuary, for you have trespassed. It will not be for your honor from Yahweh God. Then Uzziah was angry, He had a censer in his hand to burn incense, and while he was angry with the priests, the leprosy broke out on his forehead before the priests in Yahweh's house, beside the altar of incense. Ezra the chief priest and all the priests looked at him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead. And they thrust him out quickly from there. Indeed, he himself also hurried to go out, because Yahweh had struck him. Psalm 141, verse 2. Let my prayer be set before you like incense, lifting up of my hands like the evening sacrifice. Okay, folks and family, the next journal entry I have for you, May 7th at 8:10 p.m. He held what appeared to be a huge burning mountain and threw it to the earth. He held what appeared to be a huge burning mountain and threw it to the earth. Let's start with Revelation chapter 8, verses 8 and 9, key verse 8. The second angel sounded, and something like a great burning mountain was thrown into the sea. 1/3 of the sea became blood, and 1/3 of the living creatures which were in the sea died. 1/3 of the ships were destroyed. Exodus chapter 7, verses 17 through 21. Yahweh says, "In this you shall know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will strike with the rod as in my hand on the waters, which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. The fish that are in the river will die, and the river will become foul. The Egyptians will loathe to drink the water from the river." Yahweh said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, take your rod and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over the rivers, over their streams, and over their pools, and over all their ponds of water, that they may become blood. There will be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone." Moses and Aaron did so, as Yahweh commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and struck the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. The fish that were in the river died. The river would become foul. The Egyptians couldn't drink the water from the river. The blood was throughout all the land of Egypt. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 25. Behold, I am against you, destroying mountains, says Yahweh, which destroys all the earth. I will stretch out my hand on you, roll you down from the rocks, and will make you a burned mountain. Amos chapter 7, verse 4. Thus the Lord Yahweh showed me, behold, the Lord Yahweh called for judgment by fire, and it dried up the great deep, and would have devoured the land. The book of Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9. It shall happen that in all the land, says Yahweh, 2 parts in it will be cut off and die, but the third will be left in it. I will bring the third part into the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will test them like gold is tested. They will call my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my God. The Gospel of Mark chapter 11, verse 23. For most certainly I tell you, whoever may tell this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and doesn't doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is happening, he shall have whatever he says. Revelation chapter 8, verse 7. The first sounded, and there followed hail and fire, mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. 1/3 of the earth was burned up, 1/3 of the trees was burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. Revelation chapter 9, verses 15 and 18. The 4 angels were freed who had been prepared for that hour and day and month and year, so that they might kill 1/3 of mankind. By these 3 plagues, 1/3 of mankind was killed by fire, the smoke and the sulfur which proceeded out of their mouths. Revelation chapter 11, verse 6. These have the power to shut up the sky, that it may not rain during the days of their prophecy. They have power over the waters, to turn it into blood, and to strike the earth with every plague as often as they desire. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of the sky, and threw them to the earth. The dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth he might devour her child. Revelation chapter 16, verse 3. The second angel poured out his bowl into the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man. Every living thing in the sea died. Okay, folks and family, the final journal entry I have for you this morning, May 7, 2020, at 8:11 p.m. The stars appear to be falling from the sky. The stars appear to be falling from the sky. And let's start with Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 through 17. Key verse 13. I saw when he opened the 6th seal, and there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth made of hair, and the whole moon became as blood. The stars of the sky fell to the earth like a fig tree dropping its unripe figs when it is shaken by a great wind. The sky was removed like a scroll when it is rolled up. Every mountain and island was moved out of its place. The kings of the earth, the princes, the commanding officers, the rich, the strong, and every slave and free person hid themselves in the caves and the rocks of the mountains. They told the mountains and the rocks, "Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand?" Isaiah chapter 7, verse 2. David's house was told, "Syria is allied with Ephraim. His heart trembled, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the forest tremble with the wind." Isaiah chapter 13, verse 10. "For the stars of the sky and its constellations will not give their light. The sun will be darkened in its going out, and the moon will not cause its light to shine." Isaiah chapter 33, verse 9. "The land mourns and languishes. Lebanon is confounded and withers away. Sharon is like a desert, and Bashan and Carmel are stripped bare." Isaiah chapter 34, verse 4. "All the army of the sky will be dissolved. The sky will be rolled up like a scroll, and all its armies will fade away, as a leaf fades off from a vine or a fig tree." Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 7. "When I extinguish you, I will cover the heavens and make its stars dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon won't give its light." Daniel chapter 4, verse 14. He cried aloud and said this, "Cut down the tree and cut off its branches. Shake off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the animals get away from under it, and the birds from its branches." The book of Joel chapter 2, verse 31. "The sun will be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes." Nahum chapter 3, verse 12. "All your fortresses will be like fig trees with the first ripe figs. If they are shaken, they fall into the mouth of the eater." The Gospel of Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. "But immediately after the suffering of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken." The Gospel of Mark chapter 13, verse 25. "The stars will be falling from the sky, and the powers that are in the heavens will be shaken." The book of Revelation chapter 8, verses 10 through 12. "The third angel sounded, and the great star fell from the sky, burning like a torch. And it fell on 1/3 of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. 1/3 of the waters became wormwood. Many people died from the waters because they were made bitter. The fourth angel sounded, and 1/3 of the sun was struck, and 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars, so that 1/3 of them would be darkened, and the day wouldn't shine for 1/3 of it, and in the night in the same way." Revelation chapter 9, verse 1. "The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star from the sky which had fallen to the earth. The key to the pit of the abyss was given to him." All right, folks and family, the Spotify song I have for you in closing is by Sean Curran, "Bigger Than I Thought." "Bigger Than I Thought" by Sean Curran, and I'll post both the Spotify and YouTube links in the description box below the video. Faith leads to joy, leads to love, leads to peace, leads to life, leads to Jesus. Okay, folks and family, this is the Word for Today, Part 4, for May 8th, 2020. Once again, the Word for Today, Part 4, May 8th, 2020. This is Raymond X the Prophet. You come to you today, this morning, on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, at 8:10 a.m. in the morning. God bless you all as you go about your day today. Have a great weekend. God loves you, and so do I, very, very much. Take care of yourselves. Remember that Jesus Christ is coming very, very soon, sooner than you think. Get ready. This is your day of salvation. This is your day of repentance. This is your day to repent, for the King of God is at hand. This is your decision day. This is your day to redeem yourself. Read your Bible every day. Worship God in spirit and truth. Take communion every day, the bread and cup. Pray, pray, pray continuously without ceasing. Okay, folks and family, everyone have a great day. Remember, Jesus Christ is coming very, very soon. Get ready. I love you all very much, and I will see you on the next video upload if the Lord wills it so. Bye-bye for now. Take care. I love you all.